Imagine, just for a moment, the world you knew is gone. No buildings, no cities, no countries, no life as you remember it. The sky above you cracks and the earth beneath you trembles. Everything that felt solid, that felt permanent, disintegrates. The ground beneath your feet feels unfamiliar, endless, stretching out further than your eyes can see. The air is heavy with a silence that feels unnatural. There are no birds, no breeze, no voices, just a stillness that presses against your chest, a stillness that seems to echo deep within your soul. You are stripped of everything. Nothing remains but the truth of who you really are. You look around and you're not alone. Millions, no billions of people stand beside you, faces you've never seen, faces from every corner of history. Every soul that ever lived is now gathered in this endless plain. The rich, the poor, the powerful, the oppressed, kings and servants, presidents and prisoners. No titles, no status, no wealth to shield you. Everyone is equal now. Equally vulnerable, equally exposed. Each person is consumed in their own thoughts, their eyes cast downward, their expressions painted with fear, regret, hope and disbelief. But no one speaks. There's no conversation, no reassurance from another. This is a moment where you are utterly, completely alone with your deeds. You realize that something monumental is about to happen, something that was promised, something you were told about but perhaps dismissed as a distant myth or metaphor. Yet, here it is, undeniable, unavoidable. This is the day of judgment. Then a sound, a blast of a horn so piercing, so overwhelming it seems to shake existence itself. It's not like anything you've ever heard. It doesn't just strike your ears, it resonates through every cell of your body, as if your very essence recognizes the finality of it. The earth trembles, the mountains crumble like sandcastles, and the sky splits open. The sun has no warmth. The stars, once shining confidently above, scatter and vanish like sparks blown out by the wind. And still you stand there. Your heart is pounding, your mind races, but your feet cannot move. There is no escape. You are bound by the reality of this moment. You were told this day would come. You heard of it in childhood stories, in moments of fleeting reflection. But now, it is no longer a story. It is here. It is happening. Suddenly the stillness is replaced by motion. You see people rising from their graves, dust falling from their bodies, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Those who thought their power and wealth could protect them are now as helpless as infants. Those who boasted of their knowledge and intellect now stand mute. Every excuse, every justification, every carefully crafted argument evaporates in the face of this undeniable truth. You feel a force pulling you forward. Whether you want to go or not, you are drawn to a place where everything will be laid bare. Your heart is in your throat as you realize that everything you've ever done, everything you've ever said, and even you've ever thought, will be shown to you. There are no secrets here, no shadows to hide in, no darkness to conceal your faults. The one who knows all has recorded all. The scales of justice appear, not the imperfect justice of the world you came from. This justice is flawless, absolute. Every action, no matter how small, is weighed. That moment when you spoke kindly to someone who was hurting, that's there. The time you lied to protect yourself, that's there too. The acts of charity you thought were forgotten, the wrongs you committed when no one was watching, all laid out, waiting to be judged. You begin to feel the weight of your deeds pressing down on you. You think back to the times you ignored that voice inside, that whisper that told you to stop, to reconsider, to turn back. You remember the moments when you chose convenience over conscience, when you delayed doing good, thinking you had more time. But now time is no longer yours. Every moment of delay, every chance you let slip away, stares back at you like a missed opportunity you can never reclaim. In this vast plain of judgment, there is no favoritism, no special treatment. The wealth you accumulated, the titles you earned, the status you enjoyed, they dissolve into nothingness. The only currency here is your deeds, your sincerity, your faith. You are judged by the purity of your heart, the integrity of your actions, and the reality of your belief. You see people who seemed insignificant in the world now lifted in honor, the ones who quietly did good, who worshipped sincerely, who bore hardships with patience. They are radiant, their faces lit with joy and relief. And you see others who were once envied, now weighed down by their arrogance, their negligence, their refusal to acknowledge the truth. Their expressions are frozen in horror as they realize the extent of what they've lost. You wonder, where do I stand? A record is placed in your hands. You look down, your fingers trembling, and there it is, everything, written with terrifying clarity. If it is placed in your right hand, hope floods your heart. But if it's in your left hand or behind your back, the despair is instant, crushing. You hear a voice that shakes the universe itself. The voice of the one who created you, who sustained you, who gave you chance after chance. The voice that asks the question you can't escape. What did you do with the life I gave you? In that moment, all the distractions, all the illusions of the world vanish. What remains is the truth of who you are and who you chose to be. You realize that the one judging you is not unfair. He gave you signs. He gave you guidance. He sent you reminders when you strayed. He was closer to you than your own veins. But did you listen? Did you respond? Or did you brush it off, thinking you had more time? Now there's no bargaining, no pleading. The time for action is over. The time for reckoning has arrived. You look ahead, and there are only two paths. One leads to a peace, a bliss beyond imagination. The other, to a regret so deep, it feels like an eternal fire consuming your soul. And you ask yourself, why didn't I prepare for this? As the reality of judgment closes in, one truth becomes crystal clear. There's only one God, one who has no partners, no rivals, no equals, one who created you from nothing, who knew you completely, who gave you everything you needed to find him. He is the source of all mercy, but also the source of perfect justice. He is the one you return to now, whether you acknowledged him before or not. You feel the weight of eternity pressing upon you, and in this moment, the only thing you wish for is to go back, to have one more chance, one more day to believe, one more day to act, one more day to surrender to the truth that was always there. But now, there is no going back. This is the day of judgment, and the question that haunts you is simple. Did I live as if this day was real? Because now, there is no doubt that it is.